Last year, I was witness to 8 murders. Some very violent, some done with poison. In one instance, someone met their end impaled on the hand of a statue. All of them were in murder mystery novels that I was reading. This is a genre of fiction that I have been obsessed with since when I was in 5th class, browsing in Bookstation, I came across an enticing detective novel about a murder in an overprivileged 1920s English private school, the title of which was A Murder Most Unladylike. Delving into this thrilling, cloak and dagger literary world, I was hooked as early as page 15 when the science teacher was found dead, pushed off the balcony. I quickly became fascinated in this genre, and once I had finished exclusively reading that series for the next year, I went on to read book after book of detective novel. As the years have passed, I have moved from Agatha Christie's Poirot novels, to Agatha Christie's independent novels, to Agatha Christie's Miss Marple novels, and then back to Agatha Christie's Poirot novels. Okay, maybe you're noticing a bit of a recurring theme. I really like Agatha Christie novels. Now, before I discuss anything else, it is time for a brief history of the detective novel. Look, I know it might be a little boring, but I can get to the real spicy stuff once you let me finish this. So have I got your attention, class? Great. Many attribute the origin of modern detective fiction to Edgar Allan Poe's The Murders in the Rue Morgue. The so-called golden age of detective fiction of the 1920s and 30s gave rise to authors such as Agatha Christie, the queen of crime herself. Now, murder mystery novels, they all contain a very similar formula. We're introduced to a setting, a crime scene, a group of characters, suspects, and one character who isn't liked very much by the others and seems to cause a lot of trouble, a victim. Now, once the victim is found dead, the detective is called in, and suddenly we follow them on their adventures in trying to find out who the murderer is. Finally, the murderer is caught, and the mysterious final guest is revealed to actually be the victim's long-lost child. Spoiler alert. However, after reading so many of these books, I began to wonder, why do we find them so interesting? Surely we should not find these stories of people getting bludgeoned with various obscure household objects so interesting. A New York Times bestseller sells about 50,000 copies in its first year, quite a significant amount. However, over 2 billion copies of Agatha Christie novels have been sold. It's not just me who enjoys these novels. It's a huge number of people from all across the world. This is something I seriously wanted to get to the bottom of. I began researching the history of these novels, not getting into that again, don't worry, and why for so long we've been interested in them. It's because we're captivated by the thrill, the challenge, the moral satisfaction, and the search for justice that these novels provide us with. Now, I can confidently explain the reasoning behind the allure of the murder mystery. I believe that we're fascinated by murder mystery novels due to the murder that they contain. These novels show us events we would never want to personally experience, yet we're still intrigued by the crime and want to work out why the murderer committed such acts. Another reason people tend to like them is due to the catharsis that the stories of these novels inflict upon us. Minor geek alert here. Aristotle stated that the purpose of tragedy is to arouse terror and pity, therefore affecting the catharsis of these emotions. I myself love these novels, as they offer a window into an exciting and complicated world far different to the one that I live in. And while yes, I'm essentially reading the same novel, except revolve around a different shady rich Englishman's murder each time, they all feel so different. They're set across the world in exotic locations like the Nile, Venice, or some random island off the coast of England. We always have similar stories, yet with different casts of quirky characters and even quirkier murder methods. Psychologically, murder mystery novels interest us, as they throw us into a world where we can see justice and fairness prevail. We live our lives in a confusing world filled with war, atrocities, and constant traffic jams on the N11. And, well, yes, murder mystery novels do give us our fair share of said atrocities. Justice is always served at the end. One thing that sets murder mystery novels apart from most other fiction is the fact that they actually challenge us to think outside of the box and work out who the murderer is ourselves. Isn't it exciting not to just passively read a novel, but to actually analyze and put under the microscope the truth, or not, of what the characters are saying, drawing our own conclusions? I remember my surprise and subsequent embarrassment when the characters in that first novel I read worked out who the murderer was that committed this titular murder that was most unladylike. And, well, yes, I still have never worked out the murder in any novel since then. That doesn't mean people who aren't as awful at analysing the clues can't do it themselves and bask in their success. Who doesn't get a thrill from channeling their inner Sherlock Holmes? Who doesn't wish they had the intellect, the capabilities, and impressive moustache of Monsieur Poirot? I mean, just look at that. In conclusion, murder mystery novels truly were, before I became obsessed with them, a unique form of fiction. They open a door leading to a crime-filled, fascinating world with satisfying, complete conclusions, free from those wretched cliffhangers and some really shocking twists. And whether this murder mystery in question is an Agatha Christie, or Only Murders in the Building, or an Arthur Conan Doyle, or A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, they're certain to keep you on your toes of the deceiving and cunning that goes on within the pages of these books. The allure of the murder mystery is something I have come to understand now, after all this extensive research on why people love reading books about other people getting brutally murdered. As Edgar Allan Poe's detective C. Auguste Dupin once said, "It's always the person you least expect. Therefore, we can eliminate the hooded figure over there, carrying Mrs. Noodleworthy's severed legs as a suspect in the death of Mrs. Noodleworthy." Thank you.